Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Help with Harrz series where I review subscribers' gameplays to hopefully make them better at Call of Duty. We've got a return player here in Highrise. They submitted a form in MW2. They were gold at that point, they're gold now, so let's see what we can do to hopefully make them a better player and get to that platinum level, hopefully as the next stretch. The gameplay we've got today is a Highrise Control, so if you're specifically struggling with Highrise Control, today is going to be great for you. I'm going to be going through just general tactics and ways you can move around the map that gives you the best opportunity possible. Plus, we'll probably dabble into a few bits about the spawns. So if you're here and you're struggling with Highrise Control, or you want to fine-tune the skills you already have with Highrise Control, this is hopefully going to be the video for you. We're going to read through the form, go through the gameplay, and then give Harry a bit of a summary, things they can focus on, and then a potential rank I see them getting. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video and see what we can find. So, first of all, we're obviously reviewing Harry's PS4 and Xbox One platforms. They're currently on old gen, which is going to hinder them slightly. Current rank gold and highest rank in MW2 is gold. I'm hoping we can get you higher after this COD, hopefully. FOV is 110, which is fine, maybe a little high, but I think you feel like you need to have that on that old gen console. That's absolutely fine. Personally, I would reduce it a little bit, but I don't. We'll see how it impacts you. But sensitivity is absolutely fine. Absolutely happy with that. And then we go into the setup details. So the setup details, you've got an Alba TV. Not really sure about the specs. It's probably got a bit of an input delay. If it's not like a purposeful gaming TV or anything like that, it's probably got a heavy input delay. It's probably not got a fast refresh rate, and yeah, I'm assuming the Hertz will be around. I mean, the Hertz will probably be fine for an Xbox One or a PS4. They usually sit around 50, but in any case, Turtle Beach headset, so at least you're able to sound haul, and you've got a decent, and you've just got a standard PS4 controller. And then generally, it's anything that can improve on, but obviously the gameplay is Highrise. They mentioned that there's a little bit of a cut in the video, but generally speaking, it's not going to cause too much issues, I hope. So yeah, let's get into the video. We're going to see how much, being on old gen does hinder people, because obviously it's a massive factor. But we're not going to be focusing so much on that. We're going to be focusing on things that Harry can improve on. And yeah, because you can't expect them to spend thousands on a new setup with a monitor and everything. So let's get into the gameplay and see what we can find. So we start on defense and control, which I absolutely love. I don't mind, either side, but defense on control is always a little bit nicer. And we're stopping the initial push towards A, which I don't necessarily, I'm not completely against. Okay, so there's a couple of routes I like to do to get map control. So I've done a lot of controls videos the past couple of days on Invasion, on Karachi, and this one is no different in the logic you've got to try and apply to the map. If you imagine the map as like stages through the map, so what you want to do is when you come off spawn, especially at the beginning of a map just like this, you want to get to the head glitch or get to a very good power position that's going to enable you to hopefully guarantee a kill or at least get a kill. Once you get that kill, because you're in a, you're controlling the gunfight so that you've got a 70% chance of a win, and you're not just running around, and it's a 50% chance. So you get to that power position as fast as you can, you get the kills, maybe one or two, you then move up to the next power position. And as you're doing that, you're slowly getting more and more map control, and then in doing so, they can't even get anywhere near the point. And it works on defense and offense, to be fair, especially on Highrise. The whole map is visible from so many areas of the map. You do not want to die. It's a game mode map combination where you do really want to play your life as much as you can. And yeah, but it's all about getting some map control, getting your kills, move up a little bit, get the kills, move up even more, and then eventually you just get them in a spawn trap, which is the ideal situation on Highrise. So I'm going to be going into a little bit of analysis of the map right now. Let me just move my little head up a little bit, just like so. So what have we got here? So we've just spawned over here. The enemy team would have spawned there. Now I understand why we want to go to A, because the A point is, let me just put the control points on. The A point's all the way over here. And realistically, it's the easiest one for them to get, which is absolutely fine. So I understand why you'd like to do that. But the route you took gave no map control. You have no info the route you took. I mean, I don't know whether you're communicating with a team. I'm assuming not. I'm going to assume not, just in case you want to solo queue in the future. But you pretty much just simply sprinted straight towards A, and you didn't have really any info. Personally, what I like to do is try and make sure every lane is covered on the map. So there are 3 main lanes you're going to want to try and watch. It's essentially this lane, which goes through the heli and blue in that area, middle lane, which people rarely push, but it's nice to, you know, check every so often, and then the right lane, which includes like the bottom, and then, you know, the B street essentially. And you want to try and make sure that you've got every single one of them covered. Now, all your teammates were at A with you, and that's great if all of them were also there. But let's say, for example, you're in a situation where you're pushing A, and, you know, there's 3 of your teammates here. You know, let's say they're here, here, and here. But the enemy team actually have only sent 2 there. They've then got a free run pretty much if they decided to, you know, come off spawn and run to B. They've got pretty much got a free reign at B. They can get the point and they can just hold a heady on any of the headies on the B site. So what I'm trying to suggest is when you're coming off spawn, especially at the very start of a round, just try and play for some information. What you can do is, especially when you spawn in on defense, you can run, hop out these windows, and you know, hop on. There's a little bit of a scaffolding here, but you can hop onto the scaffolding, hop up to B propane, and then you can sort of look down the angle here. That'll cover that off. Worst case scenario, nobody's there. Absolutely fine. But look how far you are pushed up the map. You're over this halfway line, and you're keeping that much control of the map by just being alive. And as I say, worst case scenario, you don't find anyone at B. You can peek around this left-hand side of the propane here, making sure you're covered from anyone who does end up coming around the right, and you can see pretty much. All of A from B propane, other than if they're over here. So if anyone's sat behind the barrels, you can see it from top B propane. If anyone's sort of sat behind this box, you can see him from top B propane. So it's a real nice spot to just try and get hold of. I don't see enough people use height to their advantage on Highrise, so that's going to be something I'm going to emphasize massively as we go through this gameplay. Okay, we just spawn in, absolutely fine. Nice use of nades. That's something I don't see enough people doing. Get the nades out, get the stuns out. There's no cover really on A. If you throw a nade onto the point, it's bound to get them weak or at least hit somebody. So it's definitely good that you're doing that. Let's rewind a little bit there. Okay, I don't really mind that challenge. You're trying to cross and you're checking your right to make sure you can cross. But yeah, the problem is what you have now is there's someone in A. They know where you are. You're not entirely sure where they are on the point. You've just shot, they haven't shot on the point yet, so you're sort of looking for them, whereas they know exactly where you are. So after you've shot, I get that's absolutely fine. You can try and make a gunfight at long range. I don't mind that, but you've got to then reposition to attack the point because the enemy member on the point is just going to know exactly where you're coming from, and unfortunately, they just picked you off just like that. Nice for shouldering. That's really nice, actually. I don't see enough people do that. Check where they are. Bloody good kill, actually. Let's rewind that. Okay, you spotted them. You tuned in, and then you got them killed. Perfect. Really good gameplay there. I like that a lot. We're not reloading, which is fine. I don't mind that. You've got 19 bullets. That's enough to get a few kills. But I want to see you get some height now. This is where you can, you know, if we rewind a little bit, you can jump up on B. Let's go back to my diagram here. On B, don't know what's going on. Anyway, on B, let me just try and rub out these things. Bear with me. So on B, there are so many head glitches you can stand on. Every single one of the generators, you can hop on, be on the point, and you've on an absolute god heady. So, you know, all these generators, you've got one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. That's 6. I can't count. That's 5 head glitches that you're going to be able to see, you know, across the map. You can see into their windows, you can see right, you can see left, you can see middle. It's a real nice position to have, and it's just that extra little bit of unfamiliarity I think you've got with the map that just means you're not quite getting used to it. So from that position, all I'm saying is when they get on A, hop up. They're probably going to be spawning. I mean, the primary spawn on control is back there, so chances are they're just going to be running out these windows fairly frequently, unless they, you know, run across like that or you push up too far. That's probably where they're going to be spawning. So, you know, you don't have to leave B to watch them come out the spawn. Hop on one of the things, hop on one of the generators on the point and look over it. It's a disgusting head glitch. That, or position yourself on B propane. You can see so much of the map from B propane. You really want to try and use your height as much as you can on this map because you can see so much. There are so many positions on this map where you can literally see 3 exits. Okay, so I'm not sure. Now, obviously, you're going to have a fair amount of input delay when you're on control on console, on old gen console on a, you know, not a gaming TV. So I'm going to blame that. But I'm hearing the comms. It looks good. It sounds good, even. Okay, so you've spawned bottom, which sometimes means, and usually means, there's somebody in your spawn from the enemy team. So I would just be very conscious that, you know, be very conscious you may be shot in the back. Your primary spawn, as you've done many times, is to spawn like in this general area. Sometimes you can spawn, you know, even further back if the enemy team's pushed quite far up. But generally speaking, you spawn, you know, here or here, that area. If you find yourself spawning bottom, it generally means someone is from the enemy team is in your spawn, blocking both of the spawns. There is another spawn like in the middle of the glass, like somewhere here. So generally speaking, you want to be a little bit careful when you do spawn underneath that. You know, there's potentially someone just, you know, in your spawn waiting to kill you off of the next time you spawn in. No snade. You haven't got you haven't got covert sneakers on, so I won't be surprised if you get sound horde here. Okay, I don't mind this. Like, I'm trying to think what I would do in this situation. I wouldn't do much different. The only thing I would try and use in this situation is my tack, whether I throw it left or right. We only know where a couple people are. You know, there's 2 people who are getting kills on the enemy team. You know, one of them's on the point. The other one, I can't remember where the red dot was. For argument's sake, we're going to assume they're on A as well, just because they've nearly capped it. So we're still looking for 2 enemies off spawn. You do get the first blood here. And then as soon as you get that kill, your attention is instantly onto getting the point, but we're still looking for one more player. I'd have liked to have seen you throw a stun before you got right to the top of your steps, because at this point, as you're here, you're on a nice little head glitch on the stairs. And what that means is you've got the opportunity to throw a stun here without being challenged too much. Realistically, if someone, you know, if you get bad timing while you're throwing the stun and, you know, they come around the corner as you're throwing it, at least you're on a head glitch on the stairs, so you're a little bit covered. So I would suggest bouncing it against the door frame and bounce it out, or do it either side. But you need to get a little bit of info. You need to, you know, you've got one to your advantage. You're probably going to die after this challenge anyway, just because they've got a lot of numbers around, like 3 on the map, you're 2 down. Chances are you're just going to get traded. So you want to try and use your utility just to get information. As I say, worst case scenario, you've spent 2 seconds throwing a stun and you haven't got any information. That's literally as bad as it can get, especially when you use the map to your advantage and, you know, play the cover while you've got it. So anyway, we die. We know what happens there. Okay, yeah, so we're now getting the normal spawn. So I would confidently think that no one's in your spawn right now. Not sure about that nade. I'd have probably kept this. I know I say you should always, you know, throw your nades where you can, but I mean, especially considering where we do throw it, I don't know how much use it is. I would, because A is so easy to clear with nades, and to be fair, so is B. I'd definitely keep them for when, you know, you're either trying to trap them in their spawn or, yeah, you ended up almost killing the teammate there. Okay, so being a little bit more aware here would be beneficial. You've got to play along. Brilliant. I don't mind that gunfight. Jumping, I don't think is quite necessarily there. I would only ever recommend jumping if you're trying to kill someone behind cover or you're coming around a corner. At those long distances, you want to sort of just focus on your aim, strafe a little left and right, wiggle a little bit of a wiggle strafe. I see some people even drop shot. I don't mind that, but jump shotting in this situation doesn't benefit you whatsoever. If anything, it can potentially throw your aim off. But whilst you're so locked in on this player here, who's, you know, somehow got away, they're on B, and just because you've shot, you're now completely open. There's no cover around you. The enemy's going to probably challenge you off a B. We do see that happen, and we do fall, unfortunately.
There's 1 B, 1 long.
Good comms. There's 1 B, there's 1 long. Perfect. Oh, so that's 2 enemies down. Can we make it 3? Ooh. Okay, movement's not the best, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, we got there a little bit too late. Okay, so if this were me in my situation, I'd have... Where's the teammate? So we've got a massive pincer on the point. We've got 2 players heli. We've got a player running down the B street. If this were me, I'd have probably tried to do what you tried to do. I'd have just run up to the generators and hopped through the window just to be a number on the point. They're going to be outnumbered, so just getting yourself in there, getting yourself involved. You may have died. You may have been the person to get the trades. I'm not sure. But you just need to try and be present at that point. You say you were lagging, which is understandable if that's the case. But it obviously screwed with your movement. And yeah, you know what you did wrong here. I'm not going to criticize it too much. But yeah, they got on the point, they got the capture, and then yeah. So we're then looking for the next player. Now, I do want you to remember you don't have covert sneakers on. I can hear your footsteps. The enemy can definitely hear your footsteps. So when you're running around the map trying to get to places that you might be trying to, to get to a power position, as I say, in control, you're going to be heard. So you want to make sure that you're checking your corners, and that's sort of what you're doing here. I'm not sure if you do get sound horde. I have no idea where they came from. But yeah, I like this. Even though you're not being communicated to, you are communicating, and it looks like you're solo queuing, which is awful sometimes. But they're probably listening. Your teammates are probably listening. They can probably hear you, and it's still probably useful communication. So yeah, I think that's a massive thing you're doing, and I really like the fact that it's being done. Yeah. Okay. Saw loss. That's a saw loss. So one thing I mentioned in the first round, one thing I noticed in the first round is we didn't use height at all. I did not see us at any point in the map go. There's a few points I would suggest going. Top B propane, we didn't go there. We didn't go top heli whatsoever. We didn't go to top A propane at all. We didn't get on top of B ever. And you can see every single exit from anyone, actually A propane probably not, but from B, from top heli, from top B propane, you can see every single exit out of the hill, and it means you've then got complete map coverage. What the problem is when you're staying on those really little, when you're staying on the ground floor, like through this way, or even when you're staying the ground floor towards A or even middle, you've only got that way locked down. So through middle, you'd only see there. On A, you'd only see if anyone comes through blue. So it's a real narrow perspective you've got. And similarly, when you're low B, all you can really see if anyone comes from this area. Whereas if you decided to, instead of trying to challenge anyone along, prioritize the position to top propane. You can then see if anyone's coming right. If not, great. You can then forward your focus towards the other side of the map. So yeah, I want to see you try and use height as much as you can on Highrise. Obviously, don't just sprint there aimlessly. That's not going to help anything. But yeah, when you can, get to top B propane, get to top heli, and just real lock them in the spawn. Okay, I don't mind this push. Okay, this is huge. Now, what you have here is an opportunity to be really, really, really impactful. You have information on every single one of the enemy team. There are 4 red dots all on A. Now, something I don't like, and I see a lot of players, plat gold players do, they just sprint it down to A every single time on offense. Now, as we said before, the spawns are pretty much here. You aren't closer. You may think you are when you spawn here. You are no closer to A point than they are. Highrise is one of the maps where you really don't want to go, okay, let's just smash out, let's just smash B out. You really need to play for the information before you progress up the map. Worst thing that happens, you don't get info, you then got shot from someone who you don't know where they are, and you're back in spawn, and then you're trapped in spawn for the rest of the round. So a nice thing you can try and do to, get a little bit more map control is, if your teammates are going A, spread it. You let your teammates go A, you can then run B. If you lay down on the glass, you can see this whole B lane just as they get into it. If you jump up if you come off of spawn and you jump up onto the green shed, you can see across there. There's so many things you can do. Again, it's all about splitting their attention and making sure you've got as much map coverage as you can. Another thing you can also do is if you want complete info on how many of the enemy team go A or how many have go in B, you can literally run to one of these head glitches here and just look all the way down the map, and what you will see is people crossing to A. You get here by the time the enemy gets, is running down like here or even here. So you will get information if any of the enemies are deciding to run over to A, or even take that direction, or even run across like that to A. You're going to see every single person do that, and therefore you're going to be able to make a bit more of a justified decision, especially when you're only solo queuing. If you'd have done that at the beginning of this round, you'd have definitely been able to see there were 4 people. You'd have looked down here, you'd have seen every single player on the enemy team run towards A, and you'd have been like, great, B Street's absolutely free. Let me get control of B Street. I wouldn't necessarily have hopped onto the point from B, but that would have, from here, you'd then, you'd have been there. The enemies are all over here. Your teammates probably, are dying. But then what you can do there, you've got a free reign to run out this window, get up to top B propane, and then, you've got map progression held for your team. What you can do from here, you don't necessarily have to get the kills, you don't have to be getting on the point, but from here you can stop the enemy from getting, past this line because you're top propane. It's such an impactful thing, especially on this map, because it's so easy to get stuck in the spawn. So there's a couple things there I want you to try and bear in mind. But yeah, Highrise Control, don't just sprint down a point unless you're in a 4-man and you be a little bit more tactical about it. Get the information first and then progress with the knowledge you now have. Okay. Now, we know there's all 4 there. They don't know where you are. What I would potentially try and do here is, again, split their attention. Get onto B. Be annoying. Get in their little cubby in B. Change the corner. Get a kill. That or run from B into their spawn. Now, this is where you need to try and be a bit selfish here. You've got, all your teammates are pretty much dead. So they're going to need help coming out of the spawn. I don't necessarily think you need to focus on A. You know for a fact there's 4 of them on A. You need to, if you get on the point, you're going to have, you've just got a kill, great. But even then, there's going to be 3 enemy team members watching you because you've just gotten on the point and there's still 3 of them alive. It's probably not the smartest play. I'd have liked to have seen you go B there, split their interest, have them think about, oh shit, there might be someone on B. And as I say, you'd have more map coverage. Even if you don't capture the point, you can then drop down into their spawn and just, end up shooting them in the back and play really, really mixy like that. So again, I don't mind this. You're watching the lane, and I don't mind that whatsoever. But again, I'm going to say this over and over again. You can watch that lane from top propane. You don't have to be on top of the propane tank itself, but you can be up there on top of the elevators, looking down that lane. And from there, you can also see across the heli. As I say, you can see onto the point. And you can actually see down that lane from the point itself. If you literally hopped up to this generator just here, you'd be able to see this left lane and also be on the point helping your team. But I don't mind that. You did what you can. You got the kill. Got the 2. Now that is 3 people down. Wait, is that 3? That's 3 people down. Teammate gets a 4th. That is 4 people coming off spawn. The main spawn, when the enemy team are defending, is going to be about here. So they're more likely to come to you than they are to go to A. So the sooner you can watch this window, the better, because they're going to be coming off spawn, going down B. They're going to be dropping down here, trying to get to you. This window here is essential to hold as soon as you can, especially when you know there's 4 down. So there's so many ways you can do that. You can, again, jump up onto one of the tanks, one of the generators, and look over. You can just sit in this window just here and look directly over like that. Personally, I prefer getting up on the generators because from there you can also see to middle, and again, you can also see to the right. So it really traps them in their spawn. And a lot of people don't, of this level especially, don't check all the way up into the generators when they're pushing out the windows. Yeah, I feel like elevation's the thing. I feel like you want to check that window, but you also want to be on the point at the same time. So I can see you're checking left, you're making sure you're covered from the left. If you jump onto the generator, that'd solve both things. You'd be capturing the point, you'd be stopping them from getting out of their spawn. And yeah, they'd be stuck in a trap, especially when they have 4 down. I'm surprised we haven't. Sorry, I'm surprised we haven't thrown the trophy yet. Teammate's just gone huge, although we need to capture that point. But yeah, I'd have liked to see you throw a trophy at your feet. There were so many stuns and nades coming your way, and with Control on Harrz being such a grenade-dependent mode map combination, you need to use your trophy. Nice spot. I like this. Let's throw a stun. If this were me, I know we're sat here a lot. Your teammate are getting kills. We need to try and make progression up the map. Personally, you want to get your trophy down somewhere where you're happy holding an angle, but you also need to identify where they are. Currently, your teammate have just got 2 kills. They've only killed 1 of you, so it's at this point it's a 3 versus 2 to anyone left open on the map. You've got 1 person in spawn. They've got 2 people coming off spawn, so you need to try and be a bit more aggressive when you have the numbers. If you're not, you seem to be very cautious about someone being in blue. Throw a stun. That'll tell you whether or not people are there, and then you can push through. The worst thing you can do is, allow them time to come off of spawn and then regain the map control you've just taken over. Nice. Honestly, I think if you just take that gunfight face value, and not drop shot, you might win that, but you also might die. It's really hard to say. Get your stun out. Get your trophy down. I know trophy's probably not the best idea because it might take a while, but you need to get your stun out just to deter their push, slow them down a little bit, and stun them at the end of the day. I'm going to say this again, but your teammate's getting a lot of kills. The enemy team are going to be coming off a spawn. Now, as I say, their main spawn is going to be over here. There's 2 coming off spawn, and you can keep those 2 in spawn super easily by just getting top of the heli. If you can get on top of the heli behind the helicopter itself from, let's say, here, you can look straight over here. You can look into their mid windows. You can even look, if you position yourself over this sort of deck area, you can even look over to those windows as well. So using height will just establish the kills you're getting are good kills, and it will keep the enemy back in the spawn for as long as possible. Staying on the ground level is the biggest error I see people, well, the biggest mistake I see people make on this.
Watch lives, boys.
I like the idea of the nade. I like the idea of the nade.
How did I lose that? Fuck.
That's fine. Okay, we're in quite of a sticky situation. I'm sorry, I'm hearing your teammates say, "Watch the live, boys." It's a great comment from him. It's 9-9. There's a minute left. This is could be a win from you. But you're currently the furthest person pushed up. Grenade wasn't the best, but it's fine. We need to try and use those stuns. I'm not sure if your bumpers are working, because I know some... Oh no, you're playing on PlayStation controller. Ignore me. Yeah, you need to try and use those stuns. That would have maybe given you that gunfight there, but you need to try and, as I say, if you're for the furthest pushed up control, play your life, allow your teammates to push up behind you, and keep that space guaranteed. Got traded, it's fine. Again, we're jumping in gunfights where we don't need to. That's probably a habit we can try and wean out if we can. Okay. We keep. I think I'm seeing quite common is we're shooting, telling the enemy where we are by doing that, and then we're not moving into a position like a defensive position. So they've got the enemy team have got a decent amount of progress on the map because they're you've just died in the green tarp area. You've just shot coming out of the middle windows, and then you're not running to cover, even though the enemies are going to be really, really close. So that's probably what's caused that death there. But it's fine. Your teammates have got decent progress up the left street. It's currently 3v6. We're going to skip because you're unfortunately not alive anymore. Lose the round, that's tough. I definitely think that's winnable. All we need to do is, absolutely execute the 4 down, the 3 down. As soon as you get the majority of the team down and you have the life advantage, get height, and you can see, as I said, you're going to be sick of me saying this, but get height, you can see every single window. The only way they can really get out is if they come through the bottom bit. But yeah, you get height on that round, you probably win the offense quite easily. So we're going to see what route we do again here. So even from here, you can get info on whether the enemy are going A or B, because if you took your time, I know you're fully sprinting to try and get to the point first, but it's the way I said it works, where you can be here and look left across the map to the hit where you are currently. You can do the exact same the other way around. You can be here, look down this map here, and you'll see if any of the enemies are crossing, blah, 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 and then you'll get the information you need. And then you can decide to go away afterwards. Okay, just something really small. When you're sprinting out of spawn, you may as well have the pistol out. It's a little bit faster. You'll get to the objective quicker, and that might give you the edge over your opponents. Okay, you're being bombarded with nades and stuns. Get the trophy down. The biggest thing they're going to do every time they're attacking A is throw a trophy over to these windows. Try and deter that. Try and stop that from happening ahead of time, and yeah, get your trophy down. Good 2-piece. I like that. So we're still losing A. That's the last player up. That's tough. Just as a heads up there, when you are behind this box and you want to chal out, you can actually jump up this. It doesn't look like a ledge, but there's actually a ledge just here where the boxes are. So all you need to do is push up against it, jump, and you'll have this heady. Essentially, you'd end up being here, looking over this heady, and it gives you a little bit more of an advantage in that gunfight. But that's something you can just. That's an easy thing to remember. That's a great position from the teammate there. I know it doesn't look like he's very involved, But from the looks of it, they're on this. I don't know whether they've watched my guide or someone else's, but this is a point. This is an area which I pointed out in my high-rise line of sight guide, where you can be on this railing, and from here you can, peek over into B. You can see through the middle. If you stand up, you can see over this wall and look to the middle of the map. But again, you can see how much access he has to A as well. If they're on this side of the point or behind the barrels next to the blue, they're going to have the kill. So yeah, really good position from your teammate. It's worth, bearing that in mind. So we just had the notification they're taking A. So when it's going up this quickly, we need to make the decision whether or not we're chalking. And when I say chalking it, is leave it, let's get set up at B. The worst thing we can do when they've got, so they are so far in your spawn, there's like people here. The worst thing you can do is die when they're guaranteed to get A, because what that means then, you spawn out here, they can just run to B, and you've then got to run out these windows all the way to B, and it's really difficult. So I wouldn't be surprised that once they cap that and we die, we're back in spawn. So from this position, I mean, first of all, as soon as you know they're taking it, I'm throwing my stun, I'm throwing my nade, and that will just get them weak, it'll get them a little bit disorientated, and you'll get the kills far quicker, and it might even stop them from getting on the point. Those, if you drop a dead nade towards like the barrels at the back near where the blue opening is, it might stop them from pushing out and getting on the point and stacking it. So yeah, use your stuns, use your nades, and if you're not wanting to aggress, just set up at B, especially when there's so many players on, because what we do here is just give up so much map control. I like the awareness. You knew that they weren't on B yet. They've just come off A. The chances are they might be in our spawn. So I really like that awareness. That's something I'm going to give a good thumbs up for. Tough kill. Again, better use of your nades could have helped you here. Whether you're throwing it on the point or, covering your right from the long. But I don't mind that you baited for your team. Your teammate got the trade. That's fine. Nice LOS. Okay, that's 3 down, and you have the last person be long, I think, unless they've died. But you've got to assume they're all sort of coming off spawn at this point. I'm going to say this again, and you're going to hate it. We are holding a real tight LOS. We are here, and we're just looking here, which is great. They've got to come B. B's the only objective they've got. But what is stopping the enemy? They're gonna spawn back here. What's stopping the enemy running out here, getting up top heli, and then just jumping on the point? What's going to stop them coming out the middle windows and jumping on the point or going underneath? There's so many things open, even though you've just got 3 down. And all you're sort of really doing is you haven't even got this glass, to be fair. If they decide to run out the glass and then run underneath, you don't have that line of sight. When you get 3 down, get tight. That's the rule I'm going to put. That's all the rule I'm going to put through. All you need to do is jump up to top propane. You can then watch the right hand side, but in doing so, you can also make sure they can't come out the left or middle. Yeah, that'll be vital, and it'll change your game massively on high rise. You almost want to think of it as like the floor is lava. You don't want to touch the, this level you're on currently. You want to be on it as little as possible, just because it restricts you to 3 main lanes and it's a lot more readable. Which means the enemy is more likely to win gunfights because they're expecting you there. Again, you can be on B propane, you can be, on the generators on B. There's so many positions you could be here, which will just trap them in their spawn.
What seems to be helicopter?
Unlucky. So, my thought process, I'm going to be really honest with you. When you pulled back and gave up so much map control, I was very, very worried. But in your head, you were like, right, I need to account for these people who may have gotten out our left. And you do get 1 kill, you help your team out, you get the trade, but you do then get picked off.
There's 2 helicopter?
It's a shame. There's 2 of them actually shooting at you at that point. But again, if you were top B propane, or on top of the generators on A, you would have been able to see them come out the left-hand window, and then, you know, you'd have just plugged them off spawn, or you'd have been able to kill them off the heli quicker. Okay, shots aren't amazing. It's really hard to say what it is. It's the little micro adjustments, and if I'm honest, it could be the setup. Honestly, if I was playing on the same setup as you, I'd probably shoot absolutely woefully. Yeah, I'm not sure how much of that I can put down to you being, you know, a poor shot. Rough. Okay, so a super rough gameplay to watch. Not from your gameplay, but it's just because it was a 3-0. So we're going to be going through a couple of things. We're going to roll this gameplay back, turn the game volume down a bit, and yeah, go from there. So there are a bunch of things I really liked about your gameplay style. First of all, you pre-aimed a lot. It wasn't like you were sprinting around a lot, and I really, really liked that. You also seem to use your nades fairly decently. When I say nade, I mean simply your lethal, which is, you know, a lot of players don't do enough of that. And also, just going back to that, you were playing really well. You weren't sure where they are. You're shouldering, absolutely great. You also use decent lines of sight. So when you were hidden behind the bin, there was a couple of other bits where I said, you know, the line of sight was really nice. I'd like to see more of that. But yeah, a lot of people do that sort of stuff, and yeah, thumbs up to you. Completely for that. And then one massive thing, which I think people don't appreciate fully, is your comms. Yeah, super clean comms. It gives your teammates exactly where they need to be. You're enabling your teammates. Yes, you're not showing them. It's not a statistic that's going to help you get more SR, but clean comms that your teammates can hear will eventually help you get the win. So yeah, definitely improvement from last year from what I remember. I think it was a CeeLo control gameplay you submitted last time, or that I reviewed. I can definitely see we progress from there. This game's a lot harder. There's much more of a skill gap, so I'm not surprised we're struggling a little bit more on this one. Although we're not struggling more. Gold 1 and Gold 1, same ranks. So now we're going to get on things that actually I think we could definitely improve upon. First things first is your use of your stuns and your trophies. Use them. Try and figure out when it's best to use them. Watch some better gameplay. Watch some gameplay of people who are, better than you to see when they use them on the maps you're struggling with. And then on control, Highrise specifically, you need to use the elevated points. As I say, there are so many points you can be on, from B propane onto the scaffolding above B, onto the generators on B, to the heli, and then, you need to get in their cheeks. When I play Highrise Control, it is my aim, which is a bit cheesy, to get on the roof. If I can get on the roof, if we get 3 down, I'll get on the roof, it's pretty much game over. But you need to try and use the elevation to your advantage as much as possible, because you're missing out on so many chances of gunfights, and yeah, you're being more readable, the fact that you're staying on that very same level and you're not covering much of the map. And that's the main thing. Obviously, the shots could be a little bit better, but I'm not sure how much of that is down to the setup. Your movement could be cleaner, but again, you only have a regular controller, so I'm not criticizing you too much on that. There's things that, I'm not going to say you can't buy your way into being better, but they would help. And yeah, the only thing I would say is perhaps your decision making is a little bit off. When you're on Highrise Control, you really want to value your life and holding a certain area of the map, even if it's just yourself. So for example, on this round here, when there was 4 on A, you decided to, well, let's get in the mix, let's see if I can get a couple of kills, rather than playing a little bit more passively, getting map control and holding that map control and labeling your teammates to get out of their spawn. Challenging one player out of 4 who are on the point, you're always going to end up dying. Whether or not you get 1, 2, even 3 kills, you're going to get traded and you're going to be back in spawn. We got 1, we died. Yeah, I'd have perhaps, so the decision making is a little bit more, could be worked on a little bit, but hopefully I've enlightened you to things and reasons as to why you should do certain things. And yeah, hopefully, when next time you play Highrise Control, you play a little bit better. Yeah, if you're not sure how to get on top of anything, by the way, because I know I've said you can get on top of everything, all you really need to do is jump. But if there's certain things in certain spots you're not sure of how to get on, I did a line of sight guide on Highrise Control, on Harrz generally, actually, that you can use, and that'll be down in the description, actually. I'll put it there just for ease. But yeah, as far as rank's concerned, obviously it's I'm only seeing Control Highrise, and it's a really difficult map just to gauge how good people are. But I really would expect to see platinum out of you. I definitely see you getting past gold 1, easy peasy. I think you're gonna be you're clearly a better gamer than you were last year, and yeah, I definitely think platinum is where currently you belong. But as I say, keep the games running, keep the reps running, and just learn and try and improve. Obviously, I can't review every single game you've got, but try and watch your gameplays back yourself. That's one thing I do advise a lot of people. When you're recording it, put it on YouTube for yourself and just watch your gameplay back and go, okay, what could I have done in that gunfight better? And yeah, if you've got 30-second clips, you can always pop them in my Discord as well and say, okay, what could have done better in this situation? Obviously, I'm not going to review whole gameplays in my Discord, but generally speaking, if you have like a small 30-second clip you want me to advise on, I can do that. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, hope you found it useful, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.